right, guys. Gary Gensler has disappointed me again. No surprise, he refused to approve an ETF even when this court smacked him down. And he's dragging it out as long as possible. He will eventually submit, but right now he is trying to delay. But we have other news with Carolyn Ellison and FTX that we must go over because there was a secret recording and there's some bombshell allegations in there and have some revelations for the case. Now, we have enough to put SBF away for good, but this gets spicier as we go along. Carolyn has actually confirmed that their company had always had access to customer funds at FTX, which they were not supposed to have, as commingling funds from the two companies is highly illegal. So they have some spicy situations actually going on. So the thing is, like, Alameda's bad investments led to financial crisis at FTX, but we all knew that, but the depth of that is coming through with the admission. So the latest court proceedings on October 12th saw Carolyn Ellison testify for a third day. It was in Hong Kong, and there was a key moment when Carolyn actually came clean because they had her pinned in on all sides, basically, about the ongoing scenario with crypto exchange to her colleagues. I did hear that they're going to do an FTX movie, and Scarlett Johansson is going to play Carolyn Ellison. I don't see the resemblance, but, whatever. The admission was accompanied by explosive revelations about Alameda's financial relationship. I think most of us could have already guessed, but this basically confirmed it. She did admit that Alameda had made several illiquid investments using the borrow funds. Illiquid just basically means you invest into it, but you can't pull out of it without affecting the price. And of course, in the market downturn, they got owned. Now, I think they kind of caused their own demise because it was like Celsius, 3AC, all those things. And of course, them bringing down Terra Luna basically just completely tanked. They probably had investments in Genesis as well because, Genesis did ask them for $500 million. Man, I don't even think she's done with her testimony yet. And there's such good, juicy stuff in here. I want to see the depth of this corruption. And I really want to see her say something about Gary Gensler, because that's what we all want. So she said most of Alameda's loans got called in order to meet those loan recalls. We ended up borrowing a bunch of funds on FTX, which obviously they just lost all the money on FTX's account because like all those investments they invested in with an FTX just went down. I think like if they didn't make all those illiquid investments, FTX would have actually been okay. Like if they didn't put money into like 3AC, into like Genesis, into like Celsius, they might have been okay. But since they did, they are kind of screwed. And which led to FTX having shortfall in user funds, like $8 billion in shortfall. Not really sure how you can just, make $8 billion disappear, but they were actually good at doing that. And of course, that created the panic around FTX, causing users to withdraw their funds. And then CZ basically hit the nail on the noggin, more or less. When he said Binance was going to withdraw their funds, that did create more panic, but people were already withdrawing, and a healthy company would have not been destroyed by a single tweet. So blaming CZ for FTX's demise is ridiculous because the hole was going to get bigger and bigger, and sooner or later it was going to come out. So if CZ didn't really put a stop to it, then it would have just expanded into infinity. And once it did come out, it would have been actually much, much bigger. Now, they might have been able to last until the next bull run, get themselves back on track. But that if they didn't get caught, SBF would have definitely done it all over again. And this time with like 10 times as much money. And that would cause a massive, massive fallout with FTX. Because, SBF, he doesn't really learn his lesson. And if he doesn't get punished for it once, he will do it again next time. So when one of the employees attending the meeting asked Ellison how FTX intended to pay back its customers, and basically Ellison said they were planning to raise further funds, but, they did actually lose, what she said, like $14 billion. So I'm not really sure how you would raise $14 billion. So she basically said, and I quote from the lawsuit itself, Basically, FTX is trying to raise in order to do this. But yeah, after the crash, no one wanted to invest. I don't know, obviously, in retrospect, the plan of waiting around for several months and like for the market environment to get better and then raise. Now, they would have had to wait for over a year because the thing is, like, even until now, it wouldn't have actually gotten any better. I don't know what Sam was planning to do. Sam Bankman-Fried kept on thinking that he could just trade his way out of it, but that obviously was not going to happen. Like, take some shorts, take some hedges, and then get yourself out of it. But after losing $8 billion, I don't think you can just trade your way out of it. In fact, I'm pretty sure that if you tried, it would just make it worse. So during the court proceedings on Thursday, Christian Drappy, a former software engineer at Alameda, who was present during the meeting, told the court that Ellison's response about paying back customers sounded concerning to him. So obviously, he was not one of the guys running the company, so he didn't really have much to say in this. So like they actually asked about like how much they owed, and like one of the employees was like, was it closer to $1 billion or is it closer to $6 billion? And Ellison supposedly said, oh, I don't really know, but I think it's closer to the second number. But of course, it did get a lot bigger, and they were just expanding the debt hole bigger and bigger and bigger into infinity. So if they didn't get caught this cycle, they would have probably expanded it even more, and they might have actually had like $60 billion worth of debt, because this is just going to keep trading over and over again. And of course, like Sam Bankman-Fried did tell Carolyn to actually keep on selling Bitcoin. If the price was over 20K, he might have actually had some shorts. He probably wanted to liquidate some positions to make some money back. And like his worst nightmare was like a big investor would actually call him in, which is exactly what CZ did. CZ probably took a look at the books and were like, there's something fishy going on with FTX. I better call my stuff in. And Sam made the dumb mistake of actually insulting CZ and his family personally while he was in a bad position. And he knew that Binance could annihilate him if like CZ called stuff in. So Sam Bankman-Fried is an idiot, as well as just, like he's an idiot, obviously, but he's also kind of like arrogant as well. And he is not very careful. So someone was eventually going to call his bluff, and that was CZ. Now, SBF, as we all know, tried to sell the company to CZ, and that deal almost happened. But CZ took one look at the books and were like, yeah, we're going to pass on that one, because he saw that the hole was very, very big, and he could not bail them out. And after that deal fell apart, they kind of just died. And that's how we got to where we are today. So Carolyn's testimony is like a step by step and about how all this foobar happened. But she did not actually mention, unfortunately, anything with the SEC and what Gary Gensler did or did not do with FTX once he wined and dined with Sam Bankman-Fried. So I still want to hear some of that. Maybe some of the other testimonies will actually mention it, but not only do they have Carolyn's testimony, they have other employees to corroborate that testimony. So Sam Bankman-Fried's defense is basically up a creek without a paddle right now, and there's no way they can actually get him out of this, so he best prepare for like 10 years in jail or possibly more. Now remember, as for the sentencing, Elizabeth Holmes perpetrated several $1 billion in fraud too, and she got 11 years in jail. Now the trial of Elizabeth Holmes lasted like forever. This trial I don't think will actually last quite as long, because this trial is full of like really stupid people, and because they're really stupid people, they just left a ton of evidence. There was a high trail of evidence, and there is no way they can get out of it. But I would actually expect the sentence to be like around 11 to 15 years. And I think he might actually get it without parole. Elizabeth Holmes was sentenced last year, and she is still in jail. So being rich, having connections, does not get you out in that regard, because you are too politically toxic for any of the politicians to actually touch to try to come out and save you. How long this trial is expected to last, I expect no more than a few months, because they don't really have to do that much discovery. They don't really have to, search for that much evidence. It's all right there in front of them. And I don't think Holmes's trial actually had such good, juicy witnesses to actually tell them everything. Because there's secret recordings now of what they actually did. There's just executive testimony, one after another, spicy testimony. And of course, I want to see what the regulators actually had to do with it, if anything at all. But more and more is going to come out. I'll keep on reporting on this, but that's all the news is for today. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe, hit that bell notifications button. Thank you, and have a nice day.